Hello and welcome to another edition of my Words of Shakespeare review series. Today, I'll be looking at the 15th of February 2026, where I went to see Ed Sheeran on his loop tour at Accor Stadium at Sydney Olympic Park. On the 15th of February 2026, my friend Adam, Kim, Wendy, Sam, his mother Jodie and I went to Accor Stadium at Sydney Olympic Park to see Ed Sheeran, one of the highly successful singer-songwriters in the mainstream pop music scene for the past 15 years, on his massively anticipated loop tour named after the loop pedal, a pedal that would obtain a sample of his guitar and a loop to playback, which Sheeran has used in his many performances, which was in support of his latest album, Play. Play is the first album in a pentalogy of albums of media player symbols after a 12-year series of albums based on his mathematical symbols, as his previous tour in Australia and throughout the world, which was dubbed the Mathematics Tour. I have been a fan of the Halifax-born musician since the very beginning, when he released his debut album Plus in 2011, but due to time and money constraints, I never got to witness his musical prowess live in concert until last week, when I finally obtained the opportunity to see what the fuss was all about over the past decade and a half of his smash hits, after starting as a teenage busker, performing in pubs and clubs around England. The three support acts I saw before Sheeran performed were Irish folk singer Aaron Rowe, a newcomer who has gained lots of popularity in the Irish pub scene with songs such as Hey Ma and Please Don't Hate Me. Noosa-based pop star Mia Ray was next, putting on a masterclass of songs for her debut album, including Not Enough and The Way She Moves. Of course, the third act was Aussie rules player and turned folk phenom Vance Joy, lining up the crowd with his repertoire of hits including Saturday Sun, Find a Flood, Missing Piece, Mess Is Mine, Georgia, and his rowdy cover of Kisses, I Was Made for Loving You, before going into his signature tune, Riptide, which made Joy a household name in the folk music scene around the world and continues to get mainstream radio airplay on stations such as Triple M. The selection of support acts was a fantastic choice since Sheeran had a folk pop background in music during his early years. Finally, Sheeran went on stage for a preceding video on the stage telling the stories of how he burst on the mainstream music scene, with shots of him busking in public and singing at bars before starting off with You Need Me, I Don't Need You from Plus, which would start off the concert I would never forget. The main experience of the concert contained Sheeran performing a 30-song set list of his massive hits throughout his 15 years mainstream career, including, but not limited to, Castle on the Hill, A-Team, Shivers, Don't, Galway Girl, Nancy Mulligan, Eyes Closed, Thinking Out Loud, I Don't Care, Celestial from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, just to name a few, including songs from his new album Sapphire, Camera, where fans had a flash to camera mode at a pivotal point of the song, Symmetry, and Old Phone. Before the concert began, fans could go and vote via a QR code for some of the deep cuts that Sheeran has barely performed in recent years, with most songs being extra tracks on his deluxe editions of his albums, which included Taken Back and Gold Rush, which were on the deluxe editions of Multiplay and Plus respectively, and the underrated track You and I, which appeared on the latter album. The stage of the concert had the main stage at the back and the B stage in the middle, which had a retractable bridge that connected the two stages where Sheeran performed. The concert had laser lights, fireworks, and pyrotechnics aplenty. An example of the latter being used was in his performance of I See Fire, which was originally written for the Desolation of Smaug, the second movie in the film trilogy adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit. One of the standout performances of Sheeran's performance that night was his rendition of his signature love song Perfect from Divide. In my opinion, it drew inspiration from Earth Angel, Will You Be Mine by the Penguins, later famously featured in 1985 Back to the Future, covered by Marvin Berry and the Starlighters. The audience sang along and experienced some truly spectacular moments, including a man proposing to his girlfriend during the performance. Throughout the show, Sheeran shared his stories about his rise to fame. He explained how no record label initially wanted him until his independently released EP has achieved massive success in the iTunes charts, leading to his signing with Asylum Records. Sheeran was also very pleased with how the many fans who attended his first concert in Australia at the Enmore Theatre in 2012 as teenagers and young adults were bringing their children to this night's concert at the vastly stunning Accor Stadium, which once housed the opening and closing ceremonies and the track and field events to the Sydney Olympics 26 years prior. I must say, they are definitely raising them right. Another one of the highlights was the songwriter melody, where Sheeran performed an aforementioned melody of songs he wrote for various artists, which included East Side, written by Benny Blanco, Halsey and Khaled, 2002 by Man Marie, Cold Water by Major Lazer, Little Things by One Direction, and Love Yourself by Justin Bieber. Outside of singing acoustic marvels, Sheeran has also been a successful songwriter, as he mostly recently wrote a song for Colombian singer Shakira for the Zootopia 2 soundtrack titled Zoo, where Sheeran also gained a guest appearance. Finally, the encore consists of one of the two Sheeran's signature songs, the enormously catchy Shape of You, which has remained a massive favourite for long-time supporters of Sheeran, Azizam, which translates to My Darling in Persian, which was another highlighted track of the new Play album, which the crowd danced in harmony, and of course, Bad Habits from Equal, made famous for its music video where Sheeran plays a vampire flying and terrorizing into the city. The song was an incredibly pulsating banger, inspired by Bronski Beat's Small Town Boy and September's Cry For You, which set the crowd alight with the patrons singing along as always, like they did throughout almost the entire concert. As Sheeran took his final bow and thanked the audience for a fantastic night, I shouted, "On ya, Ed," for giving him a massive praise for his phenomenal performance. It was one of these concerts that will have burned in my mind for years to come. Throughout the years, Ed Sheeran has played a huge role in my musical journey since I began listening to his discography beginning with Plus in 2011, which kicked off the Mathematics series, and the Loop Tour is what will kick off the Playback series. Sheeran definitely blew Accor Stadium out of the water with his array of earworms and ever so catchy collection of tunes that many fans, young and old, still listen to this very day. Whether it's on streaming, physical media on CD and vinyl, or hearing Sheeran on the radio on the KISS networks in the Australian capital cities, and the hit and Triple M network stations region-wide. Whenever I get to hear his dulcety warm vocals, it puts a huge smile on my face. I could safely say I finally got to see one of the highly successful music stars that attracted the late millennials and Gen Zers around the globe. I thank Ed and the free support acts that made this performance once remember. Once again, on ya, Ed. I give this night of Ed's Loop Tour a 10 out of 10. This has been another concert edition of my Words of Shakespeare review series. Stay amazing and happy trails.